In 1505, a Portuguese fleet landed on Ceylon. They came for one thing: cinnamon. Not as a spice, but as medicine, currency, and power. And they were willing to kill for it. For over 1,000 years, true cinnamon, Cinnamomum verum, grew in only one place, the wet, misty hills of southern Ceylon. Nowhere else. The tree needed a precise mix of rain, soil, and shade, and only the Sinhalese people knew how to harvest it without killing the tree. They made a secret incision in the bark, peeled it in thin layers, and dried it in the shade. The result was a quill of sweet, warm, reddish-brown bark, worth more than silver. In Europe, cinnamon was a miracle. It lowered blood sugar, it cured infections, it eased childbirth, it preserved meat longer than salt. Kings paid a pound of gold for a pound of cinnamon, and the Portuguese wanted it all. They didn't ask, they didn't trade, they conquered. In 1518, they built Fortaleza de Ceylon in Colombo. They forced Sinhalese villagers to harvest cinnamon under threat of death. Those who refused were burned alive. Those who tried to sell to Arab traders were thrown into the sea. But the Portuguese weren't alone. In 1658, the Dutch East India Company took over. They were more systematic. They mapped every cinnamon tree in Ceylon. They destroyed all wild groves outside their control. They made it illegal to plant, harvest, or sell cinnamon without a license. Violators faced amputation or execution. The secret wasn't just the tree, it was the method. The Sinhalese knew that if you cut the bark too deep, the tree dies. If you dry it in direct sun, the oil evaporates and the flavor vanishes. This knowledge was passed down through generations, never written, never shared. And the Dutch made sure it stayed that way. They didn't just steal the bark, they erased the keepers. Villages were emptied, oral traditions were broken, children were forbidden from learning the old ways. Cinnamon became a commodity, not a cure. A cash crop, not a culture. By 1796, the British arrived. They found a land stripped of its soul. Cinnamon groves were reduced to plantations. Workers were paid in beads and cheap cloth, and the world believed cinnamon was just another spice, grown anywhere, sold by anyone. But it wasn't. Even today, 90% of true cinnamon comes from Sri Lanka. The rest is Cassia, a cheap, bitter imposter from China and Indonesia. Cassia can't lower blood sugar. It can't cure wounds. It's just flavor. The real medicine is still trapped in one island because the tree refuses to grow anywhere else. Now, imagine a different path. What if the Portuguese had been turned away in 1505? What if the Sinhalese had kept their forests whole? Cinnamon would have remained a rare medicine, not a kitchen spice. Only those with access to Ceylon could obtain it. Hospitals in Colombo and Kandy would have become centers of healing, drawing scholars from across Asia. European medicine, deprived of this powerful antiseptic and metabolic regulator, would have stayed primitive longer. Infections would have killed more soldiers. Diabetes would have remained a death sentence. The life expectancy in Europe might have lagged decades behind. Without preserved meat, armies could not march far. Napoleon's campaigns would have stalled. The British Empire might never have reached India because they couldn't feed their troops across the ocean. Trade routes would have looked different. Instead of spices flowing out of Asia, medical knowledge would have flowed in. European traders would have come not to buy bark, but to learn. Sri Lanka would not have been a colony, it would have been a neutral hub of botanical science, protected by its monopoly on healing. Its economy would have been built on knowledge, not extraction. But none of that happened, because a fleet of wooden ships arrived on a tropical shore and took not just a tree, but the future of healing itself. Today, you can buy cinnamon for $3 a jar, but that price doesn't include the cost of the forests that were burned, the voices that were silenced, or the cures that were lost. The real theft wasn't the bark, it was the wisdom behind it. This is Divergence Point. The questions we explore here at Divergence Point are complex, but they are the ones that will define our future. If you believe this conversation is important and want to be part of a community that isn't afraid to ask the big what ifs, then consider subscribing to our channel. Activate the notification bell so you never miss the next divergence point in our journey. We have so much more to explore together. Until next time, stay curious, stay critical, and take care.